I'm Professor Balra, and you're watching a video on V-Rising. Today, I wanted to share with you my latest obsession that has utterly consumed my time last week and changed my gaming priorities. That new obsession is V-Rising. V-Rising is an open-world gothic horror PvE and PvP crafting survival game by Stunlock Studios, with a game progression reminiscent of Valheim, earning it the nickname Vampheim. In V-Rising, you revive from your coffin as a vampire who once ruled the land with your kin until humans revolted and overthrew you and your kin. Now, centuries later, you return once more to conquer the land again. True to the game's opening lore, you awaken from a coffin among many in the depths of a cemetery with little more than rags to your name. From the cemetery, your journey becomes a long and arduous process of collecting resources, building your castle, and hunting other vampire-blooded or V-blood individuals to grow in strength and power. Like Valheim, your progression is tied to the gear you possess and the abilities you've acquired by defeating and consuming the blood of other V-bloods. You begin with a simple set of bone armor, but this set is exchanged for better gear as you progress and earn or learn more recipes through defeating V-bloods or research at your crafting stations. But beware, for combat cannot be won by gear alone, as V-Rising has a significant skill cap through its dynamic real-time combat system and manual targeting. Stunlock Studios keeps its difficulty scale intact by locking specifically required recipes behind V-blood bosses. This helps to prevent your V-Rising play from becoming a face roll experience at any stage. V-Rising is absolutely a multiplayer experience whereby you may start your own vampire clan should you wish to pool your resources to work together, or keep your resources separate and coordinate cooperatively. On the other hand, if your friends take one too many items from your chest, you are well within your ability to PvP them in return. How you engage multiplayer is entirely up to you and the desired V-Rising experience that you wish to have. If you don't like the idea of waiting on friends to play, or feel that the pre-existing dangers in V-Rising are enough to render PvP unnecessary, then you may launch your own private game to play solo instead, though you may find that some encounters are far more difficult to face alone. Unlike Valheim, V-Rising's map doesn't seem to vary all that much, if at all. More notably, many NPCs and locations contain snippets of interconnected lore that hint at an even bigger story behind everything. Such as where Nicholas the Fallen came from and why he is no longer there, or what drove the miners away from the iron mines. While this may make for a more predictable gaming experience, it might be too soon to suggest whether it will detract from V-Rising's overall replayability. If you're familiar with Battlerite by Stunlock Studios, then you're already 2 steps ahead for V-Rising's combat mechanics. Like Battlerite, your movement relies on the WASD key model while relying on your mouse cursor for aiming your abilities. You're given a selection of weapons to choose from throughout your gameplay. Some weapons claim to be more effective than others for specialized purposes. On the other hand, you will have far more vampire abilities at your disposal as you defeat V-bloods and unlock additional abilities. However, you can only have 4 vampire abilities ready for use at any given time. You are able to choose 1 dash ability, 2 spells, and 1 ultimate ability. Some of these abilities synergize better than others, so you'll need to try out the combination that works best for your playstyle. Bear in mind that ranged spells and attacks are skill shots, thus maintaining the skill cap seen most commonly in MOBA games like Battlerite and League of Legends. Some of these skill shots are shield spells, so if you're trying to cast a shield on yourself and it seems like it's not working, make sure you're targeting yourself with a mouse cursor when you cast. You're permitted to build a certain number of castles per server based on the server settings with a baseline of 2 castles. Each castle runs off of a castle heart. You'll need to supply the castle heart with blood essence to keep it from deteriorating and crumbling into the dust. Once you place the castle heart, you can only build outward from the initial placement of the heart. If, for example, you build on an elevated piece of land and you'd like to expand to the land below you, you'll have to place a second castle heart and fuel that heart separately from your first. So if you want to get the most out of your castle heart placement, look for 60% to 70% large or 80% to 90% considerable building areas. While many have compared V-Rising to Valheim, V-Rising remains distinctly different, not only by its look, but by feel from the combat system that is reminiscent of many MOBAs. While Valheim possesses vast random generated maps with small bits of lore, V-Rising followed the example of Conan Exiles by implementing a persistent map with more in-depth and interconnected lore. While each of these game elements by themselves are not unique to V-Rising, the innovative blend of each rolled into one game sets V-Rising apart from the rest in a unique way. There is, of course, the question, what happens when I clear the map and get all the things? For PvPers, what is left is simply to PvP. For those who are more inclined to PvE, however, there is more discussion to be had. Since a map is not random generated like Valheim is, there's little point to begin a new map continuously. One option is to continue releasing patch additions to the pre-existing map, section by section, and continuously scale the gameplay. The downside to this is that it's not usually a sustainable option, as most games typically stop releasing new content eventually. Another option that has kept games like Skyrim, Conan Exiles, and many others alive for years after initial release is to eventually steer content into fostering a modding community, allow players to craft mods, and create their own area add-ons to the map and more. In this way, Stunlock Studios can potentially, and likely would, establish the first long-standing gothic horror vampire survival game. But we have yet to see all that Stunlock Studios has in store for V-Rising. If you love gothic horror, survival games, and combat that requires skill, then V-Rising is absolutely the game for you. If you enjoy games like Valheim, Diablo, and Conan Exiles, then you may likely enjoy V-Rising as well. If you liked this video, I also have Phasmophobia content you can check out right here. Please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to see more V-Rising content. And I'll see you next video.